nicely. All of the questions, I shouldn't say all of them, the majority of questions you get on your provincial exams will have a sort of solution that's kind of nice and makes you, understand the math a little bit, but just bad choice of examples. But hopefully you understand the method, the two methods. You just write down the multiples, count by 17, count by 23, until you find the same number in all three lists. Or you can find the prime factorization and take the greatest exponent of each factor that kind of shows up. So that's kind of the trouble we run into when we do stuff like that, and just think on our feet. But the example in the class was probably a better one because it was intended to work out properly, and hopefully it did. All right, the idea here is that you guys have learned everything and it's up to you to review. So some really good ways to review would be to go onto the Ministry of Education website, find some old exams, and go through them. Figure out the questions you don't understand. Say, okay, this question was from Unit 2, I need to go back and review Unit 2. That's one great way. Second way, not as great, but the course has a final exam review guide, which you need to do anyways, so you might as well go through that and say, okay, Unit 1, I need to learn this, and Unit 2, I need to learn this and this and this. I don't love that method because the learning guide from the course doesn't include everything, it's just kind of snapshots. And the other thing that, it might seem kind of a little bit iffy, but the final review learning guide, it's all broken down by sections. When you write your final exam, or the midterm, you're not going to know what section anything's from, which makes things harder. It doesn't seem like it could be that big of a deal, but if I come to a question and it's just a bunch of polynomials and I'd like, oh, am I solving the system? Am I, factoring this? Am I graphing it? What's going on? It just depends on which section it came from. I mean, the question will be explicit as to what it wants you to do, but just looking at it, you might not automatically remember that it's from, Unit 4 or Unit 5. So just be careful with that. Don't rely on this learning guide to review for the final, because that's not going to be adequate. Old provincial exams are great because just like the quizzes and the tests you do in this course, old provincial exams will recycle questions. They'll use the same image, they'll just give it different lengths, or they'll use the same question with different numbers. It happens. They don't, there's only so many things we can ask, so it's not like they're just going to come up with, brand new test every time. They're going to take some of the old stuff that they already had in their test bank, give it a few extra tweaks, little number here, little number there, and give it back to you guys again. So the more exams you have a chance to go through, the better off you'll be, because you'll be exposed to more types of questions. See, somebody had a question here. Do we have time to go over what you're talking about before with 1 times 15 and 1 plus 15? Because I couldn't remember that. Oh, that was from factoring trinomials. Now I'm going to try to think of a trinomial that we can factor here on the spot, which might not work very well because they don't all factor. Let's say I had x squared plus 5x plus 6. No, 6 doesn't work. Multiply 6. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so it says factor. I bet you do remember it, Abby. It just maybe wasn't clear enough. That was the question. Factor this guy. So when I factor a trinomial, I need to figure out numbers that multiply to the last one and add to the middle. So I need factors of positive 6. So factors of 6 are 1 and 6. I could also have 2 and 3. So 1 plus 6 is 7. That's not the one. 2 plus 3 is 5. So that is the one I want. These are the factors I want because they multiply to 6 and they add to 5. All right, so we haven't done factoring for a while. So what I would do was, there's kind of two ways I could break down the middle term. Because there's nothing in front of my x squared term, I could just say, okay, I have x plus 2 and x plus 3. So remember, if I'm moving down my page, I am factoring. If I'm going back up, I am multiplying. These things are opposites of one another. So if I wanted to check my answer, I could, instead of factoring, I would multiply. So I'm going to FOIL. First outside, inside, last. X times x, x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 3 is 6. So I'd have x squared. Combine my middle terms. 5x plus 6. Is that what I started with? Yep. There we go. All right. So obviously that's something that you're going to have to go back and refresh your memory on, because you probably haven't done a lot of factoring between now and Unit 4. So I'm going to leave you guys there. First priority is finishing off your unit tests, which means for some of you submitting your learning guides for other units. Once you've finished off your unit tests, which are very important to get done now that we only have 2 weeks left, then you can go and start reviewing for the final exam, which means the final exam review package from the course. That's going to be due next Monday when you guys come to sit and write the exam in the gym. So that's kind of the second thing you need to do. So once you've gone through the final exam review package from the course, then you can start looking at old provincial exams, things like that. So this learning guide is 10 pages long, should take you maybe a couple days to get through if you're working hard. I'll spend tomorrow and the next day going over stuff from the final review learning guide. And then on Thursday's class, I will go over an old provincial exam, which I will upload in the next few minutes or sometime today, so you guys can start looking at it now. I'll have it up for tomorrow's class for sure. So that's kind of where we're at. It's totally up to you to get out what you put in. If you have finished everything, you're starting to review, you're going to do fine because you've done everything. The people that I'm concerned about are if you're a little bit behind, you're trying to, finish up all your unit tests and then you're trying to review at the same time and it just doesn't work. So we do have 2 weeks. We have a little bit of room, and then you guys just need to kind of budget out your time appropriately. I don't want you to spend every day doing math for 3 hours, but provincial exam is significant and you guys should put in some effort. The more time you spend, the more you're going to get out of it likely. So just consider that. We have to do the midterm review and the final exam review. The midterm review and the final exam review are the same thing. So it's just this one learning guide. This is for both the midterm number 2 and the final exam. It's the same document. It's only one. We're done the course, so this is it. This is all. This is due next Monday. So it gives you a week to finish off 10 pages, which is about the same as what we've been doing. So hopefully that clears that up. We'll start looking at provincial exams at the end of the week, and then next week we'll spend more time looking at provincials. So I'll leave you guys there, and hopefully you guys can get the Unit 8 learning guide submitted, which a bunch of you have already, and get the Unit 8 test underway. Last question, will we get our midterm score back? Yeah, I'll have it for you likely on Tuesday next week. I'll probably mark them all day on Monday. So yes, I will make sure you get your marks back. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.